Welcome back to ProSex Studios. I have very little choice but to go on being Brian Downs. And this is Captain America Part 2, where we're going to finish our discussion of how the character of Captain America is used in the MCU to present sex in a very negative light. That's the theme of this channel, of course, that popular media, popular fictions are on a relentless campaign to bombard you with the idea that sexuality is naughty, bad, evil, foolish, stupid, and you shouldn't do it. Why are they doing this? I don't know, but it's something I've noticed. So moving on to The Winter Soldier. That movie opens up with a SHIELD team led by Captain America and Black Widow, preparing to storm onto a satellite launch ship that has been taken over by pirates. This is 4 minutes into the film. They're about ready to jump out of the aircraft that is delivering them to the ship, and Black Widow says to Captain America, in her very flirty way, you know, if you asked Kristen out from statistics, she'd probably say yes. Captain America replies, "That's why I don't ask." Widow says, "Too shy or too scared?" And Captain America says, "Too busy!" and leaps out of the aircraft to go battle pirates and rescue hostages. So that's pretty well layered. Meme number 4, serious people don't sex. People with responsibilities, people who think of others, don't have sexual relationships because they need to be thinking of others. They can't have sexual relationships. We've seen this a million times in pop culture. Can't do it. No. Wrong, bad, irresponsible. A couple of other memes in this particular moment. Meme number 10, sexy celibates. This is meme number 10. Popular culture tells us that our heroes shouldn't want sex. Good people don't. If you want sex, if you try to have sex, if you're interested in sex, something terrible will happen. If you're interested in sex, that's what's wrong with you. But at the same time, our heroes are usually very trim, good-looking people with strong jawlines and six-pack abs and bouncy boobs. They are sexy celibates. They don't have sex lives. They're not allowed to have sex lives. Trying to have a sex life is a sin, but they are very attractive. This is closely related to meme number 11, which is also prominent in this sequence, sexy killers. Sexually attractive people kill and destroy a lot. Heroes kill and destroy for the greater good and are celibate. Villains kill and destroy for their own selfish ends and often have sex and are sexually alluring people, by the way. That's another theme you're going to see repeated. Who's sexy? Villains are. Who wants sex? Villains do. Very often wanting sex is what makes them the villain. If you meet a woman who wants sex with you, there's a 101% chance that she is a KGB agent, a werewolf, or trying to frame you for the murder of her husband. The other thing that this highlights, this particular scene aboard the aircraft 4 minutes in, is meme number 12. Your friends are your family and family doesn't fuck. This is an extraordinarily common idea, that the most important relationships in your life are your platonic, intentional family relationships. Your friends. Don't have sex with your friends. Sexual relationships are fleeting, unsatisfying, inconsequential, foolish. But platonic friendships are the most important thing in the world. You see this all the time. We saw this in Sex and the City. Most of Sex and the City is the 4 main characters having fleeting, inconsequential sexual relationships with a revolving door of boyfriends who are usually presented as comic figures. There's some punchline to that relationship. Their most important relationships are with each other. Friends did this. See also Community. I might do videos in the future on these subjects, these properties. But why isn't Captain America dating Black Widow? Why not? They're approximately the same age. Physically, Captain America spent many decades basically in suspended animation, but they're about the same age. They seem to have compatible sexual orientations. Okay, they are both in the Avengers, so they have a lot of shared experience there. They spend a lot of time together. They seem to get along rather well. Never does it come up that they might be lovers. The whole universe, the whole MCU, just passes that right by. Why not? I'll tell you why not. Meme number 12, your friends or your family, and family doesn't fuck. And this opening sequence of Winter Soldier keeps returning to these same memes. Sexy celibates, sexy killers, serious people don't sex. Captain America, Black Widow, the S.H.I.E.L.D. team are storming this ship that has been hijacked by pirates. They're battling pirates, killing the pirates. Meanwhile, they're bantering about why isn't Cap dating. Black Widow seems to be absolutely unaware of the fact that everything she's saying about Captain America could also apply to her. At the 8-minute mark, a pirate turns around and is surprised to see Black Widow, who gives him a sexy little smile and the eyes and says, "Hey, sailor." Then she kills 6 men in the next 15 seconds, including that guy. So there are 3 memes here. Number 2, meme number 2, danger is sex. Sex and danger are often presented as the very same thing. Sex is dangerous. Black Widow is beautiful. She's wearing a skin-tight unitard, and she makes this flirtatious remark to a man she's about to kill, him and 5 other people. Sex is danger. And danger is sex. You should feel very anxious when sexuality is happening, because usually something terrible follows. It's also meme number 6. Heroines can pretend to sex. It's all right for a heroine, and sometimes a male hero as well, usually a heroine, to pretend to be interested in sex, to flirt, to use their sexuality to mislead, to deceive, to manipulate for the greater good. That's okay. They can't actually have sex. That's a bridge too far. That's an offense. That's terrible and will lead to something terrible. But they can pretend to be sexy if they're about to kill 6 people. And of course, it's meme number 11, sexy killers. Sexually attractive people tend to destroy a lot of things. Now, it's at the 20-minute mark of the Winter Soldier that we see an extremely important scene, a very illuminating scene about this theme of Captain America's sexuality. We see Captain America go to visit Agent Peggy Carter in hospice. And it's here where the audience learns that Agent Carter is not dead. She has not died of old age in the many decades that Cap was frozen. She has aged naturally. Now she is very old and at the end of her life. And Cap goes to visit her in the hospital, which is admirable, to visit a friend who's dying, of course. But notice that the story has been constructed this way so that Cap misses his window to have the sexual relationship with Agent Carter that he and Agent Carter both clearly wanted. Why? Because he had responsibilities. Number 4, serious people don't sex. He had to go save the world and then wind up in the ice. And now Agent Carter is very old. She is fully dressed. He is fully dressed. He is sitting at her bedside, talking to her. Clearly no sexuality happening with this 90-some-year-old hospice patient. But the story is built to make that happen. The story is constructed from the first minute to separate them this way. Also notice that he and Agent Carter aren't married, and they were never lovers. They had a brief kiss one time. He has no responsibility of monogamy to her. Somewhere else in the MCU, it's implied that she was married to someone else for a while he was in the ice. They're not lovers, they're not married. He has no responsibility of monogamy. He can be visiting her in the hospital while also carrying on a sex life. He doesn't. He behaves like Agent Carter's husband. He doesn't date anyone else, he has no other sex life, and he's there to help her and support her in the most difficult time. But they don't have sex and never have. Again, that is meme number 9, celebrating celibate marriage. Their relationship is very much like a marriage, as I've just described, but they do not have sex and they never have. They had one brief kiss and then had to be separated for 70 years while Cap was in the ice locker. Very often Hollywood presents marriage as being sexless. The best marriages have no eroticism in them. And of course, this is number 4, serious people don't sex. Notice that we've never seen Agent Carter have any sex life at all either, not in the films. She kissed Cap one time. Beautiful woman, very attractive, intelligent, well-educated, successful in her field, resourceful, athletic. Come on, if this woman wanted to be in a relationship, all she would have to do is go to a public place and wait, and there would be applicants lining up. She doesn't do that. She's celibate. You know why? That's what heroes are. At the 34-minute mark, Captain America goes home to his apartment, and following Black Widow's advice, although he doesn't tell Black Widow that he's accepted her advice, he makes a social overture to his neighbor, Kate. He asks her if she'd like to have coffee sometime. The encounter is kind of ambiguous, but it seems like she turns him down. Within 3 minutes of screen time, Cap has discovered the wounded Nick Fury in his apartment, who is being stalked by the Winter Soldier and the forces of evil. He discovers that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been compromised by unknown forces, and when the Winter Soldier shoots Nick Fury through the wall, mortally wounding him, he discovers that his neighbor Kate is actually a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who says that she has been assigned to protect Captain America and keep an eye on him through this cover story of being a nurse who lives across the hall. Her real name is Sharon Carter, and we'll see more of her later. But notice what happens is that the moment Captain America says to, again, a woman of about his age, someone that seems to have some rapport with, why shouldn't he be making social overtures to her? Never mind. Within minutes of that, he discovers that that woman is full of lies and deception. He sees his boss and friend shot in front of him. He is plunged into terror and chaos. You know what this is? It's meme number 1, the wanting disaster. To try to have sex, even to this tiny degree, to invite her to coffee and get turned down, bam, here comes the disaster. 55 minutes into the film, Captain America and Black Widow are on the run from S.H.I.E.L.D., which does not realize, the larger S.H.I.E.L.D. organization does not realize that it is being manipulated by the Hydra moles that have absolutely honeycombed it. They are using the cover story that they are a couple, and they're in a shopping mall and Hydra agents are approaching. Widow turns to Cap and says, "Kiss me." Cap says, "What?" Widow says, "Public displays of affection make people very uncomfortable." Cap says, "Yes, they do." And Widow just grabs him and kisses him, and Hydra walks right by them, because apparently these trained, dedicated Hydra zealots are incapable of thinking that Captain America and Black Widow might touch lips. Then Black Widow says to him, "Are you still uncomfortable?" And Cap says, "That's not exactly the word I would use." The very possibility that they might be a couple is played for laughs, like it's ridiculous, but as I explained a few minutes ago, they're a great candidate to be a couple. They have a lot in common. They spend a lot of time together, they seem to get along just fine. Why aren't they a couple? But they don't explain why they're not a couple, they just play the idea of them being a couple as absurd. It's nuts! Who would do that? So here we are again at meme number 4, serious people don't sex. Meme number 6, heroines can pretend to sex. Widow can kiss Captain America in order to serve the mission to escape Hydra. She can't kiss Captain America because it's fun. And number 12, your friends are your family. Family doesn't fuck. 57 minutes into Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Captain America and Black Widow are driving to New Jersey in a stolen car following a lead. Widow is teasing Cap. "Was that your first kiss since 1945? Cap says, "I'm 95, I'm not dead." He says it wasn't his first kiss. But he's not dating. No woman's name surfaces. He's not in a relationship. He doesn't mention anyone in particular. And kissing is all we're talking about here. Widow explains that in her job as a covert agent, she can be whatever she needs to be to many people. And it's kind of implied that she's talking about her sex life too. And she says in a very sexy way, "What do you want me to be?" And Captain America replies instantly, "How about a friend?" instantly shuts her down. Why? Meme number 4, serious people don't sex. And of course, your friends or your family. So now let's talk about Age of Ultron. There's not much in Age of Ultron in regards to Cap's sexuality, except one scene, 48 minutes into the film, the battle at the arms dealer's cargo ship. That's the arms dealer Clow, who will later turn up in Black Panther. But at this battle, Scarlet Witch puts Thor, Black Widow, and Cap into terrifying hallucinations. Scarlet Witch at this point is on Team Ultron. She's not an Avenger yet. Cap's hallucination is a big band dance. Somewhere around 1945. Apparently the war is over. Everyone is celebrating. Peggy Carter is there telling him the war is over. We can go have a life. That's the great love of his life is there. She is beautiful. He is attracted to her. The room is filled with beautiful women all done up for the dance. It's a sexy scene, but it's meant to communicate terror and confusion and foreboding. Sex is danger. Or, put another way, meme number 2, dangerous sex. Dangerous scenes are often presented as erotic, and vice versa. So, moving on quickly to Civil War. 34 minutes in, Agent Carter dies of old age. She has aged naturally in the time since World War II. Well, Cap was frozen in the ice, so Cap is still physically in his early 20s. Captain America attends the funeral. It's at the funeral that he discovers that Sharon Carter, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, now CIA operative who had been spying on him from across the hall in The Winter Soldier, is related to Peggy Carter. After the funeral, Black Widow comforts Captain America. Captain America says to her, "Well then, what are you doing here?" Black Widow says to him, "I didn't want you to be alone." And they embrace, platonically. This is meme number 4, serious people don't sex. And meme number 12, your friends are your family, and family doesn't fuck. About an hour later, 1 hour 25 minutes into Civil War, Sharon Carter has a clandestine meeting with Captain America. He and Bucky Barnes and Falcon are all on the run from the authorities. Sharon brings him his shield, Falcon's flight gear, and some other things. They meet under an overpass. They exchange these things trunk to trunk, and then they look at each other, and Captain America leans in and kisses her. Captain America says, "That was." Sharon says, "That was." Captain America says, "Late." And Sharon says, "Damn right." This is a little bit of this bad behavior sub-theme. Sharon, you could have done something to indicate your interest. You could have invited him to have drinks. You could have messaged him. He knows you. You know him. You couldn't find him. He used to work at S.H.I.E.L.D., where you worked. You could have done 100 things to indicate that you were interested. You didn't. You just waited for him to make his move. If a man did that, we would think he was an idiot. If Sharon Carter does that, she's clever. But more importantly, her very next line is, "I should go." Now, the reason she's saying that is because they're all on the lam. The authorities are hunting for Captain America. She can't be found with him. But still, he kisses her, and she says, "I should go," and vanishes. She's off the screen 45 seconds later. And never, ever reappears in the MCU. Never. Is never spoken of as far as I can ascertain. Gone. Her relationship with Captain America is over and is never discussed again. Done. She disappears. Captain America kisses her one time, she's out, she's gone, she's as good as dead. For the purposes of the narrative, it's like she never existed. She's up in smoke. That's what you get. That's the wanting disaster. Meme number 1. Wanting sex, trying to have sex, engaging in any kind of sex play usually precedes a disaster, like characters vanishing out of the narrative. And then the next thing that happens is Captain America turns around and Bucky and Falcon are sitting in the other car giving him looks, and he's embarrassed. Also the wanting disaster. And then it runs downhill pretty quickly after that for the perpetual virgin, America's ass. In Endgame, there's almost nothing about Captain America's sexuality. There's a lot of time travel shenanigans and alternate universes and so on, and you've seen it. But at the end of the film, remember that Captain America gets to spend his life with Agent Carter. He goes back in time to replace one of the Infinity Stones that had been plucked out of that timeline. He goes back to replace it, to repair that timeline. But then he stays and spends several decades with Agent Carter, which happens off screen and takes about 5 seconds. Literally, there's a countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of our subjective time as the audience and the subjective time of the other characters. Cap is gone having that relationship. It's allegedly, I mean, we assume, the movie is priming us to assume that it's a sexual one, but that's never mentioned. Never. Does he use the word sexy to describe her? Does he say my lover? Does he even say my wife? The word wife implying a sexual relationship. I don't believe that he does. He even refuses to discuss it with Falcon when Falcon asks him about it. Are you going to tell me about her? Nope, he's not going to. Captain America's sex life happens off stage in an alternate universe, and check my math on this one. He went back to that universe to replace the Infinity Stone so that that timeline would merge with the main timeline, but then he stayed, changing that timeline. Wouldn't that make that timeline branch off in another direction? Now, Agent Carter spends her life with him, not, we presume, someone else. Now, did they have children? Did Captain America go around doing Captain America stuff? Or did he just, mow the grass and hold Peggy's hand the whole time while another iteration of himself was sleeping in the ice? And because that's a whole other timeline, Thanos exists in that timeline. And there's only a 1 in 14 million chance that the death of half the universe will be repaired. In effect, Captain America is condemning trillions of sentient creatures to death by staying with Peggy Carter. He's creating a whole new timeline in which Thanos does or will exist, in which there is only a tiny chance that the universe will be saved. That is how evil his boner is. At the end of the film, what we get is the camera in a street, clearly the 1940s, we can see from the cars and so on, the music. The camera moves up to a house, the door is open, the window, the actual glass is closed, but the curtains are open. The camera moves in, Captain America and Agent Carter are dancing together. They kiss with some passion, but bam, camera cuts away. You don't see them kiss for more than a second or two. Camera's out. And remember, trillions will die. That, of course, is meme number 1, the wanting disaster. That's also meme number 9, celebrating celibate marriage. Apparently, Captain America spends decades with Peggy, but we hear nothing whatsoever about their sex life. We see one brief kiss, but that relationship has been the next thing to sexless the whole time. We see one brief kiss at the end of Endgame. Of course, they kissed for a second. At the end of Captain America, the First Avenger, and then it was, fuck you, Cap, go take the longest cold shower in history. So we see that the theme of Captain America's sex life throughout the MCU is that to want sex, to attempt to have sex, to be interested in sex leads to a disaster, that people who have serious responsibilities do not and cannot have sex. It is a betrayal of those responsibilities. And if we're taking Captain America as your example, boys and girls. And I say boys and girls because obviously this character is aimed mostly at young people. We're teaching young people who are just discovering their own sexuality that the way to handle your own sexuality is absolute self-abnegation. Sex is bad and dumb and irresponsible. Captain America doesn't do it, and neither should you. Take that from the man who punched out Hitler 1,000 times. So, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. What do you think? Am I off base? There's a comments section. I'm probably not going to read it. There will be more of these coming soon. Keep your eyes on. I'll read the comments. I will read your comments. I'm very interested in feedback. Don't take it personally. It's a joke. It's a joke. I will read every comment. right? Cut and paste the same comment 10,000 times. I'll read it, I promise. There are going to be more videos like this in the near future, so keep your eyes on this channel. Thanks for your time.